Hey everybody, it's Chuck Dixon back for another edition of Whatcha Watchin. What am I watching on TV? What do I recommend off the various streaming services? This week I'm going to do Prime Video, and I'm going to concentrate on war movies. Boom, boom, pew, pew, pew. Uh, okay, we're going to start with The Lost Battalion. It's on Amazon Prime, which if you have Amazon Prime, you not only get free shipping through Amazon, you get to watch a whole bunch of movies and TV shows for nothing. And this is one of them. It stars Ricky Schroeder, or Rick Schroeder, as he prefers to be called these days. And it's a World War I drama. It was originally made for the History Channel, which means it doesn't have a feature film budget. But that kind of lends itself to this true story of an American Expeditionary Force battalion trapped. They found themselves trapped behind enemy lines. The reason why the budget lends itself is this wasn't a massive charge across no man's land. This was more of a surgical strike, and the majority of the fighting takes place in a hilly, wooded area in France. Which lent to the confusion of the battle. Rick Schroeder plays the commander of this company, and they're supposed to advance with a number of other American units and French units to take a German position. And unbeknownst to the Lost Battalion, and this is how they became lost, the other units retreated and kind of left this American unit behind, and they were rapidly encircled, and but managed to fight their way out, which is why we remember them today. Eventually, a relief group came and fought their way through and broke through to them, but this shrinking band of doughboys, fought the Germans to a standstill. They were outnumbered, they were encircled. But they just never gave up. They wouldn't surrender, and they became justifiably famous at the time. I think there were several movies made about this in the silent era and the early sound era. But this is this is a straight up war film. It begins in the trenches and ends on the battlefield. There's no letters home or anything about the home front or anything else. There's not a lot of time for that because this was a fast moving exchange, even though it took place basically over most of a day and into a night. But it's well done. The period detail is good. The language sounded right to me. The attitudes and acting and everything else seem very much in period. It's a good war film. It's a good, solid World War I film, and I would highly recommend it if you like war movies. If you don't like war movies, you probably stopped watching at the beginning. So the next one is I won't try the French, and the English title is Female Agents, and basically they had me at Sophie Marceau fights the Nazis, and that's what this basically is. It's about 5 French women recruited by British intelligence. They've escaped from occupied France and made it their way to England. And they volunteer for a mission to return to France, and basically go undercover inside Fortress Europe to uncover various Nazi plots and plans and all the rest of it. Also based on a true story, but I suspect this is highly romanticized. But it's got all the stuff you'd want in a World War II espionage flick. Nasty Nazis and valorous, brave allies. In this case, it's a bunch of French gals, and they're mean. They're all business, and it's a good film. It's a French film, so obviously the Germans are just chauvinist, creepy, murderous pigs. It's come to be expected. Because the French don't have a lot of good memories about the Germans occupying them, rightfully so. But it's a good thriller. and it's excellent performances, beautifully shot. And again, like Lost Battalion, very much in period, a lot of attention to period detail, language, things like that. And I really enjoyed it. It's a fast-paced thriller, and it's got some nasty moments, though, but it's good stuff. T-34 is a Russian war movie, and it's kind of it. I think it wants to be like Fury, the Brad Pitt World War II tank flick, but it's more like a DC war comic, quite frankly. This one kind of surprised me. It's a good movie. It's highly entertaining. But this one kind of surprised me because Russian war films tend to be, obviously, from the source material, very bleak. There's not a lot of laughs. There's not a lot of yucks. These guys, their story is these 5 slave labor camp guys are asked to fix captured T-34 tanks so they can be repurposed for the Germans. And instead of, they fix one, but they fix it for themselves and they drive it away and try to reach Russian lines. And that's the story. It's a great story. But Russian flicks tend to be real downbeat. This one isn't, surprisingly. And it's a lot more Hollywood than the standard Russian film. There's some action in this movie that I don't find terribly believable. It goes over the top a bit. But it's a lot of fun. Well, not a lot of fun. It's the Russian front. It's the feel-good movie about the Russian front. But again, the Nazis don't come off very well here. If anybody hated the Nazis worse than the French, it was the Russians. So, the Nazis are all cardboard cutout. Evil, nasty guys who are just horrible for the sake of being horrible. But I'm okay with that because they're Nazis and we're better off without them. So that's T-34. Again, free on Amazon Prime. So just put in T-34 and roll along with these guys. Some good tank battles. Little outlandish at times, but good tank battles. Okay, let's end on a light note for the subject of war. Buster Keaton's The General, considered by many, including me, to be his masterpiece. It's a silent film, but it's on Amazon Prime, and it's restored. In this one, Buster's a Confederate. He's on the Confederate side. He's down south, and he's a train engineer. And he connives to to keep a Confederate rail car out of the hands of the Union Army. And he mostly does this to impress a girl. And because Buster's not having much luck with her because he doesn't seem like the heroic type. But what essentially this is a chase comedy. Once things get rolling, they keep rolling for the rest of the running time. This is a feature film. I think it's 70 minutes long. Feature films weren't as long then as they are now. And it's got lots and lots of inventive action. If you've never seen a Buster Keaton film, this is a good one to start with. Keaton was a genius. He had his own production company, financed out of New York. And he's basically free to make any kind of movie he wanted to make in the silent era. And he really took advantage of this freedom, taking a lot of creative and physical risks. The scene here with the railroad tie, he broke his neck in that scene during filming. Unbelievably, he broke his neck and continued working on the film. It wasn't until years later, when he had to take a series of x-rays when he signed a contract with MGM, that a doctor asked him, when did you break your neck? Keaton was basically unaware of it. Keaton was a tough guy. Keaton was he had like squirrel DNA. This guy was like a super tough guy, super athletic guy, in addition to being a film genius and a comedy genius. So he was just unaware he had broken his neck during the filming of this. The movie is a comedy. It's a straight-up comedy, but there's lots of action, lots of suspense, and lots of big stuff happens. It's kind of loosely based on the Great Locomotive Raid from the Civil War, which fascinated the public at the time, and Buster kind of makes his own version of that. But it's a genius film. It's super fast-paced, And it's worth checking him out. Buster Keaton is an American film icon, and rightfully so. He's one of our earliest film geniuses, and the movie's funny as well. His ability to endlessly invent sight gags just astounds me. His comedic timing is perfection. When my kids were growing up, I would show them these movies, and they would, they were laugh out loud funny to my kids, because they are. They're just an excellent movie, and the romantic angle works too. You really feel for Buster and his search for love. So that's it for this week. If you have any suggestions or whatever, and you want to contact me at brunobookstore@gmail.com. It's the most direct route for your suggestions, questions, criticisms, hoots and hollers. Just brunobookstore@gmail.com. And if you think about it, why don't you stop over at ArcTunes and check out My Sister Suprema? It's me and Anthony Gonzalez Clark sending up the whole superhero genre. It's a sibling rivalry comedy that involves a superhero heroine, and I think you'll find it surprising. It's not the usual stuff, and Anthony is killing it on the art. Just terrific stuff the guy's doing. If nothing else, just take a look at what this guy's capable of. It's over at ArcTunes, which, as I've reminded you many, many times, is free. So go take a look. And I'll see you all down the road.